Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML. And you know what this is? It's a year of magical learning. Today, we're on 153, and Chris has a different background because he's at the airport. But this is what we do. We love to do these. So here we are on midday on Wednesday, right? That's Wednesday? No,
Yeah,
Thursday.
no, no, it's Thursday. Yeah, it is.
Thursday. Dang,
Yeah,
I'm missing a day.
you know
But
why? It's because Halloween was Monday, and we
yes,
took a
that's
we
right.
took the
That's
day
right.
off. So
That's right.
yeah,
That's right. Yeah, that's kind of messed me up for a bit, but
yeah,
anywho, let's get with 153. What are we learning today, Chris?
yeah. So we are learning about a book that you and I both love. It's called Platform Revolution. It is a book about I mean, you can describe the book. You've read this. I know you like this book a lot. How would you describe Platform Revolution?
Well, Platform Revolution is it's basically a business book on how to build a business that utilizes the network effects to grow and to m- become a moat, and you're looking at the I guess the phenomena of having a network. A network is something that, for example, when you have one telephone, right? You have no network. It's not worth anything. But when you
Right.
have another telephone, right? That network just double, right? When you have three telephone, that works go from one person one can call person one can call person three, but person two can call, so it becomes exponentially more valuable as more I guess these network unit, whether
Right.
that's the phone, right? When you add four, for example, it's exponentially, like, becomes so much more valuable. And the network effect is all those kind of things that you have that's connected, and each time you put it in another node, that node become exponentially more valuable to the whole network, and that becomes what they call a network effect, meaning that it gives you the power to leverage these exponential growth. And so you look at the telephones, look at cell phones, you're looking at Facebook, right? Each person comes in, one friends, two friends, right? Three friends, because they can share the node, and each node become more valuable. So as more of these nodes come into the network, eventually that becomes a moat because you can't just replicate that. Let's say somebody say, hey, I want to build a network app. Well, you don't have the people on the network. So therefore, you can't say, I'm going to copy Facebook software and website and make another Facebook. You can't, because the software doesn't have the network into it. So um, the kind of, like, in summary, the book is about how this network effect has been used to transform these businesses that we see today, from the Uber, Airbnb, Facebook, Google. You know, you're talking about Slacks, you're talking about um, any of these social media of software out there. These are
Well,
media. These are the
it,
giants
it
out
can
there.
be it can be Nike too. It could be Adidas. It could be large
Yeah,
brands as well that are trying to become platforms. Yeah, no, I think that's a good summary. I mean, I the way that I would kind of describe this book myself is a platform is a marketplace where things are exchanged, and the more value that you can build in that marketplace for the people that are engaging in it, they'll start to create value. Like it's like its own self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like as they come for value, then they start to create more value, and then from that additional creation comes more value and comes more value, and all of a sudden you have this like snowball effect, I guess, of things that are network effect, exponentially growing faster than you could ever imagine, because it's not centralized control. It's not it's a platform. It's a marketplace. People are figuring out how they want to leverage it and how they want to engage in it, and to utilize it to their best abilities. So yeah, it's a cool book.
yeah.
Hands down, like I would say this is the best business book that I've ever read. I don't know about you, but like if you want to quote unquote a business book, it's um
It's written for business, but
right.
based on your reflection, it can apply to many more than just business.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is what it makes me think about as we've been going on this. Well, here I'll jump into the reflection. So So the reflection title was like, let's network affect our living your values, not just a value driven ecosystem like the platforms, but like let's network affect living your
I
own
love that.
personal values.
Yes.
So yeah, so the well, you already get it, obviously, what I'm already gonna say, but I started this reflection off with thinking back, just reflecting back on this journey that you and I have been on, and that I've been on since Amelia passed away. Those first kind of 6 months, I would say, after that, awful, the worst day of my life kind of thing, but also at the same time, one of the best experiences of my life, because I got to meet my daughter and spend time with her as well. So it's always really complicated for me to describe that time in my life. But after she passed away, those immediate, like kind of 3 to 6 months afterwards, I don't know. It was my world was crushed. Right. We've talked about this at length in many of these conversations, so I won't dive into it then. But Amelia helping to point me forward on a path, and toward understanding myself and understanding how I could continue to live a life with her, is how I ultimately discovered a lot more about myself, through exploring with her, and that was how I found my own values, and that was how, long story short, for the next 2 years after that first initial period of time, I've spent most of my time trying to figure out how I can do what I call living for two, which is taking those values that Amelia and I had discovered, that she helped me to discover, and to honor her life, and to try to express those and bring those out every single day in my life. Right. That's the basis of pretty much Clubany in general. And what you and I both agree on is like each individual person needs to understand what they care about most and try their best to go live those actions. Well, along the way, as you start to, the crazy thing is that when you start to live your values every single day, it starts to bring you into connections with just random people along the way, right? And as we talked about the platform revolution, the book is all about like what you had mentioned about the network effect, which is that phenomenon where increased numbers of people or participants improve the value of a good or service. So the more people that engage in values, in that exchange of value, the more that the good or services and the values of those goods or services exponentially just start to increase. And it's that network effect that goes on and on and on. Well, it made me start to think about, what would happen, or what is it going to happen if, you living your values every single day and putting those actions out of the universe, when you start to connect that to other people, and then you start to network affect your own values, right? And then like you find those commonalities, those connections with somebody else, and then they have commonalities and connections that are different than you, and then you guys get to work on these new meaningful projects that are things that you never even dreamed of before, right? Like your magical learning. This is something that was we can call this a network effect of both of us living our values, right? Like this whole entire, this conversation right now, today, right here and now, is the network effect of you and I. We've never even met each other in person, which is insane. Like, I mean, I've talked to you probably more than I've probably talked to, like, some of my best friends that I've ever, had in my entire life. And we've never physically met in person. And, talk about the network effect of living your values. The connection was so immense that we were able to, find that commonality and find those connection points, and then be able to go, find meaningful work projects that we can do together. And then we bring other people into it. Then we start to have these meetup groups, and we start to have the podcast that we're putting out there for the people. We did our core values, quest program where, and then we formed a nonprofit. We've started trying a couple quick little businesses that didn't necessarily work, but that's okay. But it was all for us, growing the network effect of us connecting together. And really that's the basis of the idea of Clubany is network affecting, building a platform where people can come in and exchange their values, their personal values together, and connect that and exchange that, to help them to discover meaningful work and build meaningful relationships, and create meaningful work, and create meaningful relationships. And what that will spiral out into, I have no idea, and you have no idea. Neither one of us do. But like that's the cool part about these platforms, and like that they talk about in the platform revolution. Like nobody ever thought that, you go on Facebook and you just click on the little app, like the additional apps or whatever that are on there. Like, and there's like just hundreds of other ideas that are plugins or people that how they leverage the platform or how they don't leverage it, that are content creators. Or you go into YouTube, right? Like, oh my God, like think of how many different ways that thing's been, changed. And if there was, it's insane. Once people start to get involved and the creation starts to happen, and you make those meaningful connections, and you build those meaningful relationships, the new meaningful work that comes from it is just unreal. Right. So so that's what this book made me think about. Like, what if instead of networking affecting a platform for business purposes, like what if we just went straight to the cultures, the strategy, and we built a platform where we could network effect living your own personal values and connecting that with other people and meaningful work projects and meaningful relationships. Like, just think about what that could do. So that's kind of the reflection of the day, I guess. Love to pause there and get your thoughts.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, to me, I really love the phenomena of the network effects because it is so powerful in a way that it can change something. You're looking at like Facebook. I mean, they surpass many big companies like that's they've been in existence for like 100 years. Talking about Airbnb surpassing all the hotels in just matter of years, right? And
Right.
so you're looking at the powerful leverage of this phenomenon, right? And so for me, that is something that people have been trying to replicate with you're looking at Uber, you're looking at like TikTok or whatever is new.
Every business wants to
Every
build this.
business
Like,
is right.
yeah,
You talk like you
yeah.
said, even Nike was trying to build this community, and for us, we know that you can't separate work from your personal person from the work
No,
person. It's one, and
it
so but
is.
the personal person has to come first. And a lot of people is talking about how you want to change the workplace, how to change the organizations. We say let's change the individual and the families, and taking the same effect that we knew worked very very well with this network effect, bring it over to the personal that will even exponential multiply the organization after you have those personal connections as well. And so to me, this is a powerful reflection that I'm not sure if I can explain it in a way that
Right. It is
that
kind
that
of complicated.
right because to me I see the vast leverage we have with this combinations of networking the effect of your core values. This is so much powerful, but I'm lacking the word to describe what it really means to me.
Well, so a platform at its core is an exchange of value. Like, people come there for a value for a particular reason, and then they exchange value, which is usually in a form of a good or a service. What we're saying to exchange is your literal values. Like, hey, I value play and you value play. How can we go connect that together to then go and form a meaningful work project and ultimately form a more meaningful relationship together? Or you value teamwork and I value teamwork, or something like that. Or you value enduring and I value enduring. How can we go figure out that those two abstract thoughts in our minds to connect those two dots together to then go not
But
only literally exchange.
you're looking at like what we do today, right? The value that we're exchanging at this moment, right? And we have done this for 153 episode now.
Right.
The value, the single value we're exchanging right now, and we have more, but the single value that we're changing right now is learning, right? And I
Yeah,
have learned so much from you, and you probably have learned so much from me.
for
And
sure.
that's network. Imagine we bring in Cole or somebody else. I mean, we're talking about Snow as well, coming in and having these exchange. It multiplied the value of the learning we have, and that's just
Right.
counting on one value. But we have like other value where we're talking about challenge, right? You challenge me, I challenge you. I'm picking up, the Wim Hof cold shower, and that's becoming
Yeah.
something that I do, you know, I don't know, indefinitely until the day that I leave this world. Same thing
Right.
with like, you and I were talking about some of these, um, what
That
we
actually came
call.
from Blake, by the way. Just so we're clear, like
Right,
that
right,
actually came. Yeah,
exactly,
but yeah.
exactly. So we're talking about the long room for training today. That's a concept that I completely, absorb and I use it every day because
Right.
regardless what happens to the world, it really can put a damp into my mental state just because, I've taken the lessons that we've learned throughout all these episode of YOMO. I'm just taking it and I'm using it and I'm applying it to everyday life. And to
Yeah.
me, that becomes a person that you cannot really put into a bad mood. I mean, not often, right? You still
Right.
can, but
Yeah.
not as much as you would before. Before, all you have to do is say, hey, your hair looks weird, or you have, you look dumb, or you have shit in your face, whatever. Now, yeah, I turn to this rage, and I'm trying to defend myself. What do you mean, blah blah blah, right? And so that's the thing is, I'm just giving you example of certain things that we have today. This is a exemplary of what the network effects doing for each of us, and even though we have only 1 to 2 connections at this point, right?
Right.
But if you think about when you talk about 3, that's only 9, and we're talking about 4, it's gonna be like 16 or whatever. It just multiply in that exponential power. And
Right.
and this is really cool. Is once you have a tribe of people that comes together, that's even for like 3, 4, like 5, 6 people, like 10 people, right?
Right.
The value you learn from the same group because of the share
It's
common
insane. Yeah.
no, right? It's
Yeah.
going to multiply that so much because, like you said, you learn from me, I learn from you, but then also we got Blake involved, and then he introduced to us the Wim Hof method, right?
Right.
We got Nico, right? Nico comes in and he shows us about the traction and
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean you talk about a
L10
lot
and yeah.
L10 and everything. To me, this is like a simplified network, and already we are feeling the benefits of the network effect itself. So imagine how we can,
Immensely.
yeah.
Immensely. I mean, like, don't forget that I'd quit my job to go lead a team right now that I'm doing all the stuff that we do,
Hmm.
and that we've been working on and that we talk about and that we've been networking. That's a network effect of all this as well. I'm they've spent a month in Clubany 101, basically. They don't even
Right,
know it,
right.
but I mean, but at the same time they do know it, right? They're loving it, they're enjoying it. They tell me every single day, I've never worked at a place like this, and this is amazing. It feels good. I feel like I'm connected to everybody. I feel like we're learning. I feel like we're growing every single day. I feel like, this isn't just like my other jobs where I've come in and they're like, here, go get to work, like that's it. Like, if you
Yeah,
don't produce, you're out of here kind of thing. Like, I mean, I'm encouraging them to be themselves. I'm encouraging them to explore. I'm encouraging them to learn. I'm encouraging them to explore themselves, like, like, and setting up habits and structures around it. I mean, like, we're doing all the same stuff that you and I have been doing, and like, that's the thing though. It's like, this is, if only we had a platform. Like, right now we're doing it in a haphazard way, right? Like, we're doing it on Meetup, we're doing it on a podcast, we're doing it on, me writing a book or something like that, or we're doing it with me and my new job, or you're doing it with stuff that you're doing with other Eric and I mean, doing what you guys are doing, right? Like if we could only just consolidate that all into one platform where people in one community that is
hmm,
all just Clubany, like, that is the essence of what we're trying to do, right?
right.
And we'll get there. Uh, it's just really cool to think about, like, these platforms are having such a massive impact on people's lives today, and they're only exchanging goods or services. Just they're tangible items. Like yes, you can only exchange so many goods or services or whatever. But what if you exchanged the then you your personal you, like,
Hmm, hmm.
the things that are inside of you with other people, and that's really when it'll get really really powerful, because then
Right.
anything could happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, it could be anything.
Yeah, we're talking about, network effect. It could be anything because you're talking about a telephone, right? It's an object. We're talking about Facebook. It's somebody's personal preference,
Right.
right? You're talking about like Pinterest. It's somebody's, hey, this is what I like, right? It doesn't matter what it is you would want to network. You can network core values. You can network like, um, your characteristics or your habits. I'm a, you say, hey, I want to do the Wim Hof. Or I want to do the, um, you know, the whatever challenge is out there to hold your breath or breathing or
Right.
meditations or whatever. As long as it's network effect, you will immensely try and get the benefit from that particular network itself. And as a person, right, we have like many core values that we hold. I mean, like I said,
Right.
you have been a characteristic that is make up the single uniquely Chris or uniquely true. And so having that network effects is
Right.
even more exponentially than what it had been already. So to me, a network effect is a very, very powerful phenomenon just because I'm so close to it in terms of because I'm a programmer and a software guy. So I see this every day, and I absorbed it, and so I do um, understand a little bit more. And when you put the two together, I mean, it's like to me, wow, this is like the eureka moment of what company could potentially become.
Yeah, I mean, it's a platform for people to exchange themselves.
Yes,
Like, like that's
and
it. I mean, we should
and
write
it
that down. Yeah.
and it is a revolution, right?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
not only we using a network that is also a revolution, but also revolutionizing the effect of more personal uh, development,
Yeah.
which is develop you, because you can't, like I said, you can't really be a good worker if you have some problem personally. It's not possible,
Right.
right? So you have
Yeah.
to build the foundation first, which is you. Got to build you first
Always.
before you can become
Yeah.
a good worker. You just can't have, a good worker and a poor personal you, or because the thing is, it's just like there's a foundation. If you're missing the foundation, it's gonna collapse. So
Right.
there's no point in building and go organizations and say, hey, trying to be the best you can be at work, and then at home you have all these bickerings and all these non-appreciations and all that. I mean, that doesn't to me, how can you stand on empty air? It's like
Right.
you're gonna fall. And
Right.
so don't try to go to the workplace until you already have your home in
Right.
place and organized before you can build the next step, the next
You,
layer on top of that.
it's like fascinating. Is you're so right, and this is why I'm so encouraging you to read that Everybody Culture book that I sent
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Um, because there are businesses out there that are doing exactly what we're talking about doing, which is being an adult development,
Mhm.
deliberately adult development, organizations. However, here's the biggest difference. Like, it's really cool to see what they're doing, like to see what a company like a Bridgewater or like this Next Jump company, like, and it's like this. It's really really cool. I can't wait for you to hear it and read it and absorb it, and we can talk about it. But here's the big difference: is it's just like with Let My People Go Surfing and Yvon Chouinard and Patagonia, right?
Mhm.
They all started with a what? A business, a commerce transaction, a commerce, business
Mhm.
company. And then they found out, oh, if we went into shifted it more toward a why, building culture first, is culture is the strategy kind of mentality, and then look at where they got to after that, right? Like, but what we're doing is the exact opposite. They had a franchise that they decided to morph into a deliberately developmental organization, right? What we did is we said, well, what if you didn't even give a shit about anything that you were building? And what we're doing right now is saying we don't have a what, we don't have a franchise. We just know that, like, culture is the strategy, and we're going to build the platform of you, I guess, if you will,
Mhm.
and how to exchange that, and then we'll see what that comes out of that in the future is.
Mhm.
Like, because God only freaking knows. It could be a million what's, it could be a gazillion what's, it could be, for all we know, it could be, as this network effect, spins off and off and off, like of other people that we get involved in this stuff, and this deliberately developmental organization, if you will, of Clubity, then the what that becomes from it is it is secondary to what
I
we're
mean,
trying to do.
I think
Yeah.
it's irrelevant the what, because it doesn't matter, because to me, an example I can give you right now is like I have no interest, right, in the book that you have told me. If you never told me and I have come across that book in maybe Amazon or somewhere
Oh,
else.
like the Year of Magical Learning, the
No, no,
idea of
no,
it.
no, 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 no. I'm talking about the book to be the
Oh, the
organization,
Everybody Culture. Yeah. Yeah.
agriculture. So if I were to come across that book, right? That book is a what? I mean, if I come across that book, I have no interest in it.
Right. Right.
But because I have this connection with you, and you say this book is great, true, I'm interested now. That's the why. The why make the book, make the what worth.
Because we both care about learning.
I mean, no, it makes it worth it, because the thing is, that's what I'm saying, is the what doesn't matter. It's the why. The why makes the what valuable. It makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like I say, if you hadn't told me about the book and I had come across that book by accident or some whatever I seen from, I don't care whether it's recommended to me by Audible or by some website, whatever. I don't have a connection with those people. I wouldn't care about that book. It doesn't interest me. But since I know you, right, a connected relationship. When you say that book is good, I would say, well, that has some value. I'm interested now. I
Right.
want to actually read it, and I will. Just because that's the thing, is the what has no meaning
Right.
until the why is being placed. If that
And
makes
why
sense.
we care, yeah, why we care
So
is because we're learning
instead
together.
instead to try to find a what and then find a why first, then the
Right.
what becomes meaningful.
I agree. I mean, 100%. You can, any what can be meaningful is the point, right? Like I mean, nobody
It
really
it
gives a
only
shit.
becomes meaningful because the why gave it the meaning.
Right.
Because the what hasn't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the what is. Like,
Agreed.
yeah, I want, I don't know, I want a car, right? There's a why. Makes it why you want to pay for some money to get the car. There's a
Right.
why for it. It's like, oh, I want a Ferrari, right? You yourself, why do I want a Ferrari? Why would a boy want a Ferrari?
To go fast. I don't know. To show
No,
off to get a
no,
girl. I don't know. I mean,
exactly, to get a
yeah,
girl.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've
Yeah.
never. I'm not a big car person, but yeah. But to your point though, I mean, it's a. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, it always starts with why, and it always starts with you, right? Like, I mean, we've said. I feel like this. I keep just going back to this point in my head over and over again. I was writing about this morning, my own just personal reflection. Was like, if you want to be a leader, you got to lead yourself first. If you want to build a culture, you need to build a culture for, if you want to be design a culture, you need to, or if you want to influence somebody, you have to influence yourself first. Like, it
Right.
always goes back to you. Like, if you want to live a life of values, like, or if you want to be around other people living a life of values, like, you need to live a life of values yourself first, and you go
Mm-hmm.
find those people.
Right.
It's like, I've told this to people before that, kind of struggle with like dating or something like that, or maybe finding a meaningful relationship, like romantically. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, what do you like to do? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I'd like to do this or this or whatever. And I was like, I like to read, or I like to, I love wine or whatever, or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'm like, okay, well then go join some book clubs and go, like, like go on wine tastings or whatever, or go join a wine tasting group or something. I'm sure you'll end up making really good friends that'll either directly result in a romantic relationship, or indirectly they'll connect you to somebody else, or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, just do the stuff that you like to do, that you just innately like to do, and then, like, from there, like, everything kind of spurs from that. But I'm kind of getting a little bit tangent, but the reason why I'm saying this is, it's like, it always starts with you, right? So if we want to build this platform of people network effect of living your values, like, that's what we're doing. Like, it all, like, if we're not doing it, then it's irrelevant, like,
Right.
nobody else is going to do it for us.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I think having these two, living your core values and having the other people in a network makes it so much more meaningful. And I think that's the two primary ingredient is you know yourself, and then have other people that knows themselves be in the same network, same tribe.
Tribe, yeah, yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a tribe of purpose-driven human beings. That's what we wrote down at the beginning of all of this stuff, right? So, but anyway, it's pretty cool. I love this book. I think I need to reread. I can't, what I can't wait to do is once this whole, like, the 365 is over. I know you're gonna say don't run for trains, and blah 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 blah. But I'm just saying, like, for myself personally, like, I have not been revisiting other books that I really like,
Hmm.
for a while, just because I'm always kind of focused on the next book right now, just to, to learn, keep learning, and writing these reflections, and as I march toward, not a goal, but just toward what we,
Right. You don't
an
focus
objective that
on the
leads to.
what.
Right.
Focus on the
Right.
why, right? The why is
Right.
you love the book and you want to learn, and you read the book. You don't have to read it once. You don't have to read 100 books, right? It's
Right.
what can we learn? What can we get lessons out of this book? Some of the book you have like five, right? So
Right.
if there are lessons to learn, read them. I mean,
Oh,
it
there's a lot more lessons to learn in this book. Is my point. It's like, this is one of those
exactly,
books that I could go read 10 different times and probably get a different lesson out of each time.
exactly.
So So
Good.
those are my favorite books, right? You know, like those are the ones that I write a multiple part reflection on. But this one,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I didn't write a multiple on this one, but anyway, I digress. Anyway, any I can't see the question. You want to see the bottom? So the question
The question is,
is,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, what magic could you create if you had a place to find interesting new projects or people that share your values? So you know, something to think about. You know, if you're interested, let us know, and we can get you hooked up into Club, and we'll teach you what it's all about. And as True and I build out this platform someday, there'll be something tangibly there that probably you'll have an impact on how we designed it in the first place. So
Right.
so yeah, well, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining from the airport today, and appreciate True for being flexible and not running for his own trains.
No,
And I will
I don't
I will
run for
say,
train, but unless I have to, but that's my goal. Is
yeah,
train can go, and if I have to meet the train, I get on it. If I don't, then okay, next one. Next one up.
fair
Yeah,
enough. And I'm a literal. I'm not running for planes today because I'm just missed my flight. So I'm literally just, you know, yeah, I'll get the next one. It's fine. So I'm just
yeah.
waiting here, hanging out. So anyway, appreciate you hopping on, and thanks for joining everyone. And we will see you all next week.
Next week. See ya. Bye.